Yeah, I had been working on this subject and also supporting organizations abroad. So, just I have returned from Kenya, so there was also some issues on biochar where I have trained them on charcoal production for using as biochar, and also I have visited their fields where they are doing this biochar compost and applying. So, like that, my interest started originally with the stoves only. Cook stoves, biomass cook stoves. These biomass cook stoves, they require biomass for cooking. Yeah. So we need to complete the loop because people always say, if you cut wood, then where is the wood? Then if we have good soil, then we have the biomass. So unless we support that aspect, so the biochar from the stoves is a resource for again managing the soil fertility. So that will improve the biomass again. So there is a continuous loop that I could find. So that's how this energy and the biochar both are interrelated. Apart from addressing the basic cooking needs and then food security and many other issues. So environment, climate change and so many things are linked to this aspect. So the total values around biochar are so many that inspired me to continue to work on this aspect till date. Yeah.
So specifically, what kind of communities are you working in with the stoves?
Basically, these are the rural communities, very poor people, and who are who are dependent on the biomass and the inefficient stoves, the 3-stone stoves they were using. And these are mostly located in some of the very remote areas, and we have little access to the resources, and their livelihoods are also not so good. So these kind of communities that I had been working with. Yeah, they are also.
So I guess what were they using the biomass for anything else before, or was it just waste?
So this is that like in India alone we have 810 million tons of crop residue.
Wow.
And only crop residue I'm speaking, not the forest biomass and other things which also cause. You can see in Australia lots of forest fires are happening. Even in forest management we have to procure this kind of biomass, excess biomass, and try to convert into biochar. There is nothing wrong. But people in the name of environment and others, they just leave it. So they will suddenly cause these kind of accidents. Because even nature has its own limitations for the life to act upon the biomass and to reduce it. So these are some of the challenges we need to understand, and how to convert and use for various multiple uses. In the interest of environment also we should think. And definitely biochar is one of the methods of using the char. Otherwise we are using char in different ways. We don't call it the traditional use as biochar. Yeah. So that's the thing we need to understand.
Yeah. So I guess were the farmers in the community you were working or introducing the biochar stoves to, were they putting charcoal in their soil before
Exactly. So actually biochar, the term is very new. It started only in 2007. But actually the understanding about the charcoal is very old, because the farmers are intelligent, and we should not think that only the scientific community. After education we started thinking what is biochar and teaching the common farmer what is biochar. See, if has done something good now, it would have done in the past also. How is that the farmers are so ignorant to understand the benefits of biochar? So only through jargon and other things we should not claim that we are the pioneers and we are the people who taught how to do agriculture using the biochar. We have evidences globally all over, right from Amazon to we have terra preta that is already well known, and in parts of India in every cultural activity, in every act, biochar is integrated. Even if you have death there is biochar, if you have birth there is biochar. For every festival we create some biochar in the process. So yeah, all this I have included in my latest book that is called Biochar Culture. I want to call it as biochar culture because it integrates and goes, biochar culture like agriculture, horticulture, like that. Because it integrates the values of biochar not only for soil but also many other ways. So that's how we need to understand this aspect. Yeah.
What are some of the other ways, some of the other uses?
Yeah, if we take the right from everyday life also, the people had been using for cleaning the teeth, utensils. And if you take the cultures of Japanese or Chinese, they also use in the cloth, fabric also they use biochar. So it cleanses the environment and for sanitation, for animal husbandry and livestock and for the health of the people as medicine. So for habitats also, integrating it into the walls, and so like that if we see apart from agriculture we have multiple uses and people are calling by other names also that we have to remember. Say nanocarbon, that's also biochar if you want to call. If you want to call different ways carbon like that or activated carbon or any other name you use, but that is ultimately biochar. Which we have given a new term. Bio means life and the charcoal. So anything this connected with the life ultimately. Life means not only just microbial life. Here I want to extend the definition of life to any living thing on this earth. So any living thing means like human beings, let us say if they have used as a medicine. So this life connected to char. So that is biochar. So that's how the definition of biochar extends to biochar culture. Because culture is a practice where knowingly, unknowingly people had been using as part of life. So that is what we have not documented much actually. If we try to document all those values, then definitely would understand the biochar is not a simple thing, it goes beyond. Because soil is ultimate, any day, any use, ultimately it has to reach to the soil. But in the process it has some values, so we have to see the two values, because after reaching the soil what is its value, before reaching the soil how many uses it has undergone. So like that we have a chain of uses even before dumping it into the soil. So these values only will make it more valuable than directly putting biochar into the soil. So these things we need to integrate immediately, and these are my efforts actually. You have seen the website. Otherwise, if you see biochar website, they discuss mostly about agriculture alone. But in my website, that's why I could integrate many aspects. Yeah.
So do you integrate those other aspects before the biochar eventually ends up in the soil, or does it like where does the biochar end?
Ultimately soil only. Even if we take our own bodies, where do we end up? See, the whole earth is, that's why we call EARTH, earth. Earth means soil. So that is life. So ultimately it's an integrated thing. So
you're saying that you can use the charcoal before for other things before it goes into the soil.
Exactly. These things only will make it more valuable than directly using it into the soil.
Yeah. What sorts of things specifically? Is it the stuff you were talking about a little while ago?
Let us say sanitation. All our toilets, we are using chemicals again to clean up the toilets.
Okay.
So instead of using chemicals, you can always soak like urine or anything into the biochar, and it is a wonderful thing to absorb all the smells and create sanitation and directly a fertilizer. So we are addressing two issues. One is sanitation, again as a fertilizer we are giving to farmers, and we are addressing food security as a biochar. So all these are integrated in a loop. So why don't we understand that? Why you are using directly biochar into the soil? So that's my fundamental question. Yeah, why don't we think beyond? Why just limiting its this valuable resource? Yeah.
So can you tell me the story of maybe bringing the new biochar technologies such as the stove to a community, and kind of how it worked and how they received, how you worked with the community and kind of implemented that project?
Yeah, it's not just project, it is my life actually. Last again 9 years, same 9 years I had been spending on the stoves. Stoves is one of the aspects of biochar, because the quantity of biochar required is huge. But stoves are generally one of the most environment friendly means of getting biochar, because anyhow we are using biomass for cooking, but at the same time giving something to the soil is a good aspect. So that way this aspect has a most integrated approach. But apart from that, I had been working on the retorts and cleans for production of biochar by simple means locally, because the main concern is the biomass is a lightweight material and it is not uniform. The transportation costs are very huge if we have a centralized charcoal production technology. So we need to decentralize these production methods. Otherwise, farmers are just burning openly in the field. By open burning, we are again contributing to global warming. So to avoid all that, we need to give farmers simple local technology so that they can conveniently convert this valuable biomass, some part into biochar and other part into the compost and manure, like that. So this way again those technologies were given to the community. Like in Kenya also I designed a new retort for the people there. So wherever we go we find different resources. So based on the skills of the local people as well as the materials that are available, we can always train communities on how to convert cheaply, efficiently and with less emissions some part of the biomass into the biochar. So these things I had been training communities how to do that. Apart from that, sometimes we have biochar as a byproduct. Let us say people are producing charcoal in certain parts of the world. Anyhow, they are making it as a part of livelihood. And of course, without cutting the forest, we never encourage. But whatever is left at the bottom after taking the charcoal, that is a very useful resource as biochar, which is almost all available free, because that is not sold, because only chunks of charcoal are sold and has demand in the market. So the powder and the burnt earth that is left after the clean that they have started for charcoal production, so that is a valuable resource. So these things now people are understanding, and there is demand from farmers where I had been teaching them how to adopt this thing and understand the biochar, and now they are using all those resources efficiently, and they are converting into biochar compost and then applying. Yeah.
So I guess how do you go to farmers and charcoal makers and those people who you don't know? Can you just tell them this should be used for the soil, or do you have kind of a different way of approaching people and kind of getting people to start using the stoves and stuff like that?
Yeah, biochar, especially when it was in the beginning, I don't know how to start and where to start, because there were very few people. Even the biochar term was not there when I was speaking. We used to call terra preta or charcoal like that. So I have gone to the farmers and I have shown pieces of charcoal and I brought the values through from their own day-to-day things. I have visited a potter's kiln where pottery sherds were there and the charcoal was there because they burn some biomass along with the wet pots to make them dry. So this baking of pots, what they do. So there, this charcoal and broken pots I have seen. So I taken in one village I remember where first time to this potter's kiln, I shown how thick the biomass around that potter's kiln was growing. Because I told that, see, here is the charcoal and here is your pottery sherds. And all these things are making and helping these plants grow very luxuriantly. And you can see the size of the leaves and everything. So this is one way I could create awareness about biochar. Second thing is I brought some pieces of biochar and I have taken one glass of water and I was trying to explain them the properties of biochar, how light it is, there is so much surface area within that and this is an excellent habitat for the soil microbes and also for absorbing so many things in the soil and removing the poison. So the community also helped me by explaining how they use for different means this biochar locally, and so a kind of communication has developed between me and the farmers, and I am grateful to those first three farmers who had trusted me to apply these biochar in large quantities in their fields. Okay. So they were basically my research and pioneering work is in the alkaline soil first, because I have taken alkaline soils as a challenge with the biochar. Nobody has taken till then globally. So then these three farmers, of course, their fields were also not fertile and they were not using them anymore. And those three fields I have selected. And two fields were paddy fields and one of them was used for the cotton growing. So when I explained the farmers, they took me into confidence and they applied as I said. And the results were amazing. Immediately they could reclaim the field. You can just key in alkaline soil like that and Sai Bhaskar, you can put my name. So there you will see the website and all these results also. And it was a surprise for the whole village because it was an amendment along with biochar I have done and they got the result, and till today they are cultivating those fields without any leaving them fallow. And this has become my first story, and then I had been doing experiments on my roof also. So it's called rooftop terra preta experiments. Then I have continued my research, like understanding the relationship between termites and biochar, ants and biochar. So I had traveled into forest areas just to understand termites and this aspect. So similarly for ants, so like that minutely for germination tests and many other things had been taking up, and I continued my journey like that. And also I visited parts of India where remote tribal people are living, and I have seen they had been using, they don't know what is biochar, nothing, but they had integrated very much into their practice and they are successfully doing. They never revealed this to anybody. And all these evidences has helped me my commitment and understanding towards biochar, and I had become a person to just promote this biochar compost everywhere, wherever I had been there, telling people. And I am very happy that at least 10 major institutions in India, the prestigious agricultural institutions, they have taken it up as a research now. And they have brought up some PhD students now, they are working already. And all these things have happened. And also I trained the farmers in Bangladesh also, physically I had gone there. and the latest is in Kenya. Apart from that, in different parts of the world through online, this thing had been successfully motivating communities to adopt. So yes, definitely the multi-pronged approach that I have taken up, like putting all the information on the website in the form of blogs and videos, the photos. Probably I am the only person who has shared so much, because most people write papers. Papers don't show pictures. There is only data and analysis. But my websites and blogs and the links has the highest information, which is very convenient for the children also. So some of the children also adopted this as their project, and they are working on that. I am very happy with the kind of results that are happening now.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So did you approach it in the same way when you went to Bangladesh and Kenya and kind of convince a couple farmers to let do the technique and kind of show everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. I have always taken up the simple means of explaining only, because science is very simple if you want to explain. It is complex if you want to be sophisticated. So now definitely the people have understood, and there is not much for me to try to explain them, because now already in many parts of the world people have just started understanding this aspect. They might have read somewhere, and I need not put much stress in explaining them. Yeah, they can easily understand now. It's not an issue. Only thing is that they are unable to understand some of the processes. They are thinking by dumping charcoal in the soil they will get results. They are thinking we can dump this biochar in any kind of field. They are not understanding where to apply, where not to apply, why we should not waste the valuable biochar. So all these, some of the things, ethics and values are there. Biochar is not simple a product by itself, because it will cause environmental impact also if people go crazy, and we should be there to explain all these things. Who is doing all that? Nobody is doing. So I think we need to bring up this ethical issue of biochar application, not only for scientific reason but for the environment also, because otherwise we will be wasting this valuable resource like any other petroleum products which we are already wasting, because people go crazy with subsidies and they are just burning it off. See, petroleum has its own value. We can use it systematically for various means. So there is very little understanding about that. So like that, biochar should not become another this kind of negative aspect in the world. Yeah.
You were mentioning there were certain places and ways you have to apply it in order to not waste it. Can you tell me a little bit about those, just some kind of key points?
See, in Amazon it is a high rainfall area and the soils are acidic, and definitely the biochar was just required at that time in the historically. But let us say there is a very good fertile field and the farmer want to just apply it. Why he should apply? If it is fertile, leave it. So they are not able to understand this aspect. So where there is less rainfall, so there they can apply, because moisture conservation will be there and they will have good this thing. So like that they should understand certain aspects, no? And also where already they have never applied any kind of pesticides and soil is very good, there also they should not struggle. So like that many things are there around this. And also biochar, without processing it or composting it, we should not apply, because if you apply directly, then the results are sometimes slow and the farmer gets discouraged by looking at the results. You should understand that biochar oxidation is an important process. Second thing is inoculation of biochar is also an important process. And how do we do, and what are the local other raw material that is available for this kind of processing biochar? So based on the strengths of the locally available material, we should create a methodology of creating biochar compost, and also we should also encourage initially point application is the low cost method, line application, then spread application. So if farmers go for spread application, if they demand 30 tons of biochar compost or even more per acre, so that is a great loss because for the farmer, sometimes the cost of biochar compost and recommended dose is close to the value of the piece of land itself. So especially if you are dealing with the poor farmers, a farmer growing maize, why he should apply biochar? Because maize is such a common crop in Africa, especially in Kenya. We should not encourage the farmer go for maize with biochar. Why? Because if it is a high value crop, then at least he will get more income, and at least his efforts are taken care. So these things nobody is caring now. So these things should be considered. So apart from that, without testing your soil, there is a variability of application. That also one should understand. For all soils, it is not the same quantity and same kind of thing. So these things the scientific community has also not worked upon. And chemicals are same composition. Urea means same urea. The chemical composition is same, and there won't be much variability. But within biochars, at what temperature it is produced, with what is the raw material the biochar is produced, and how did you prepare the compost, what are the soil microbes that are there in your biochar compost. So there are many aspects, variable factors which are here. So people think by looking at some videos and website and like that, they think I know biochar. But I think we should not make mistakes, and this science is still growing, and it should not be a costly thing for the farmers, and it should not bring that negative name for this most valuable resource that will help the future communities. Yeah.
So what do you recommend for the inoculation? What have you found works?
Yeah, there is an interesting thing in inoculation which I myself have developed. It's called Geospirit centers. Because through biochar and this energy, my life has gone into spirituality also. This spirituality is not religious, but it is for the spirit of earth. So here what I did is I have just a quarter an acre of land. There are 200 species of plants. I could just facilitate them to grow. So this has become a most valuable place for my soil microbial biodiversity. And from this place, when I have mixed and made this biochar compost, it has yielded very good results, like record growth of plants and everything. Then what happened is I could relate myself to these biodiversity centers, and I started encouraging the farmers and individuals. Those who have any amount of land, please declare some part of land where you will not touch any kind of plant and let the local biodiversity flourish. So in a way what is happening is, the locally they have access to their own microbial life for inoculation for their own field, because we should not buy microbes from somewhere else, because it's a different geography. So local microbes are integrated into the local soil and local this weather conditions, so their survival is far better. So this aspect I brought in, and then the local biodiversity will have some birds, some insects and many things. Actually, if you have this biodiversity center in your field, Even if there is an insect, it is not going to attack your farm. Why it should go there when there is so much biodiversity in that small place? So it will remain there only. So like that, even you will help to protect your own field, and you can always inoculate your fields with the microbes, and you are helping the whole biodiversity locally to thrive, and then for the future you are creating this Geospirit center. So these kind of aspects also I brought in, and now many farmers got convinced that they need to reserve such kind of place in their fields. And I'm very happy because into the future, if we see, such centers are the only hope for the biodiversity on this earth, for many other values also, which we have not even understood anything like. Yeah. So these are interesting things which happened when I was looking at inoculation methods, and apart from that, I always looked at the local traditional rituals, festivals and cultures and other things. So always I could find at least 2-3 aspects where people are doing some kind of festivals. Let us say there is one festival here in our region. It's called Bonalu, and where the community, especially just after the rains, there is a small goddess, and then they bring the animals, they sacrifice, and they spill all the blood of the animal there. And apart from that, they bring jaggery, they bring rice, cooked rice, they bring different kinds of other food items, and they also bring the neem leaves there, and they put everything on the soil. Remember that they are not putting in a utensil, they are putting on the soil all this, and there is always moisture at that moment. So they leave it whole one day, and the next day they collect all this material and then throw into the fields and around the village completely. They try to cover different parts of the village, lands especially, farmlands. And you see, the beauty is when you put jaggery, blood, the rice, cooked rice, and the neem leaves and all this, you see, they will help the good microbes to just thrive. So when you spill in the field, so there is a boom of all these microbes immediately, and the farmers get the good crop. See, these things are integrated already, and there is fire, and there is some ash, there is some charcoal, and everything is part of the same thing. So like that, I tried to explain the communities also how there is some value in doing all that, and the community has realized. So that's why I'm telling, it's knowingly, unknowingly, people are integrating many things which are relevant to biochar. I don't know why the biochar has been left out in the development process. If scientists had been focusing more on biochar, one element of carbon, earlier, long back, we would have solved many issues. Of course, now people have realized already, you have carbon technologies everywhere. Even the materials are carbon, and nanocarbon, what we call, nano fertilizers we call. So there are different means of carbon that we are already utilizing now. So good, now at least people are on the right track of understanding this biochar, in the name of biochar at least. Yeah.
So I guess you're saying one of the most important things is to kind of embrace the culture and practices that people already have.
Yeah.
And
we can modify slightly, because some cultural practices are not 100% sustainable today. So we can always integrate and modify them slightly. Let us say cremations that happen in India. We don't go for burial grounds, we go for cremations, Hindu custom, many communities here. So again, the bone charcoal, that is again biochar. So that goes into their field directly, but here they burn openly. So instead of burning a body openly, you can carbonize the body. So in such a way that more biochar is there as the end product, because lots of wood is wasted in cremations. You can see any of the pictures online. So instead of that, we could create a better cleans for cremation, and less wood is used, and most wood is converted into biochar rather than ash, along with the bone charcoal. I mean that whoever is cremated, their bones will be also carbon, because bone charcoal has the highest value. Even it is part of medicine, not of human beings. I am telling in general, the bone charcoal is also a biochar. So like that we can instead of that's what I am telling. The cultural practice is openly putting a fire and then burning as part of cremation. Now we can create some efficient methods where emissions are also less. So like that we need to look at different aspects and modify them as per the present need. Yeah.
So have you come across any obstacles when trying to implement these different biochar projects and introduce, for example, the stove or other biochar technologies to people?
There is no obstacle, and we require now millions of people understanding this, and we require many leaders like you people, very young people, should be coming up. And the thing is that the awareness is low, that's the only thing. But with research and then lots of communication, information websites like that, definitely the understanding will increase. Second thing is the policy, where government policies are very negative. They give high subsidies for the chemical fertilizers. That is the problem, because chemicals give results very fast, but the impact that it has on the environment and the people who consume the food and the soil, so that is very long term negative impacts. So instead of putting this uneven competition, because now we don't have policies to subsidize biochar. I don't mean we should subsidize, but when there is something which is already subsidized and you want to pay outright price of the biochar for the local communities, it is uneven, it is unfair. So these unfair things are the hindrance for the community's adaptation at present in some parts of the world, and which I have seen definitely. Because selling biochar is far better as a livelihood than applying biochar, because sometimes farmers think like that, and we don't have the technological support for the to adopt the efficient charcoal production systems, and globally also very less research has been done on these technologies, and if anything is done, again patents and all that is a costly affair for the farmers. So I think now the policies also should look at these aspects, and then that's the only thing now. One is awareness, second is policy. Apart from that, we need not prove what is biochar again. As I already told, we need to just understand and tell them in their own language. Everybody understands. Yeah.
So I guess what
Yeah.
what can biochar bring that other other kinds of applications can't bring, and other kinds of techniques and stuff like that for the soil?
There are hundreds of techniques. Biochar is not alone. If you apply zeolite also, you'll get some result. If you apply only pottery shreds, you can get. If you apply vermiculite, you have some result. So there are hundreds of. If you can apply the tank silt also, you'll get some result. That's why I'm telling. Biochar is not the solution for all geographies and all this thing. We need to understand where it should be applied and why it should be applied. So this aspect is only important. So biochar is not the only product. Yeah. Because already we have so many chemicals and other things which are also giving results. But it doesn't mean that result is not sustainability. Both are not related. So here in biochar, we are looking not only sustainability, carbon sequestration, emissions reduction. So the multiplier and multi-value things that are there in biochar makes it unique. So, and that's the only thing that we need to understand.
So what potential do you see in, you're talking mostly about smaller scale biochar implementation, but what do you think of large scale biochar implementation where there's kind of a centralized, I guess, a large plant that makes a lot of biochar and sells it to people or something like that?
Again, same thing. We need to have different models for different geographies. If it is industrialized countries where the farms are hundreds of hectares, then it is a centralized production is also fine. But if you are looking at small farmers like in Bangladesh, India, and many other countries, we need to have decentralized because it empowers them, and definitely they don't have employment throughout the year, so they can add some value in the process. Or we can encourage small decentralized local enterprises through the farmers, and we can centralize the produce like vegetables farmers cultivate in their respective fields, but ultimately all the vegetables come to a point. So like that we can have different models. So we need not say only one model is good, another model is bad. It only is where we are working and what are the other environments that we have there. So those things we have to look at.
Okay. Do you think there's a way to kind of increase the success and spread of biochar and kind of what needs to be done in order to do that, in order to increase its success?
We don't have a very good platform. We have international biochar initiatives, but it is more of a membership on a paid basis. But it is not like a UN body. So we need to have a common body or system working on this aspect, especially the standards we don't have. And we have limitations of testing biochar because testing even one sample is lakhs of rupees. Because if you want to go to the extent of what is the kind of microbe that is there, how many types of microbes are there, so it is a costly business. It is not so simple. So we should have some international and neutral bodies which can also criticize if anything wrong is going with biochar, and those kind of international bodies would be an important thing in promotion of the biochar at present. Otherwise individual industries and they have a short term interest and they have only interest is making money. So business is different, but we need to bring up neutral bodies working on that rather criticizing. Again, we had to cope with many critics also in the process because biochar was included as part of. Hello?
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, what are some of the criticisms that you coped with?
No, not me, but I told you because my approach had always been with the local farmers and it was simple and it was never a commercial because I empowered the people in doing what they want with the biochar. But the product they will not empower. They only keep like a secret and they try to recover the R&D costs and many other things. No. So then second issue is people, especially in centralized production systems, people are criticizing the unsustainable means of harvesting the biomass and converting into biochar. So they also are questioning if you as an industry you want to maximize profits, you will always increase your total production. So it will have an impact geographically somewhere. So all these things, questions are not addressed because different countries have different laws. Like already we have land grabbing in the African countries, a criticism which is already going on. So land grabbing in the name of biochar, and then using this valuable biochar for this biomass, and then selling as a biochar product. All that, so many, even biofuels is another issue which had been always there under criticism and fire. So similarly, we should not get into that kind of system. That's why I'm telling we should have an independent body which also permits the people to do or not to do something like that. Without this, our environment will be at stake if you look purely as a business angle with biochar. Yeah.
Would you say there are, like, what would you say is biochar's kind of best use in the developing world in general? I mean, I know you were saying it's kind of different in different places, but say if you were going to bring it places other than the places you've been, like India and Kenya and Bangladesh, would you recommend similar strategies and similar kinds of applications?
Everywhere it can be used. It's not a thing for even if you go to moon, take some biochar, no problem. It will address many issues. So geography, there is no limitation. Only thing is, especially in desert areas where biomass is so little already, there definitely it will have a bigger impact. But those are the regions which require biochar. If we consider the soil moisture and other issues also, nutrient management and like that. So always there we should be very cautious in going with the production systems and encouraging farmers. Yeah. Otherwise,
I was going to ask, do you think the cook stoves are one of the best ways to kind of create the biochar, or?
cookstoves are 100% one of the best ways, but it hardly contributes 5% of the biochar requirements any day. And even every day you cook and add biochar in your field, it takes several years. So a farmer can't wait, no? Why he should wait for the biochar? He wants the results immediately. His life is so small. So definitely, otherwise, whatever the biomass cookstoves globally that we have already, they are contributing. Because if not my field, in some other field the biochar is going. So it means that much biochar is already there. Because we have cookstoves, maybe the percentage is less. Let us say a traditional stove will yield around 10% or 5%. Efficient stove will yield 15%. A gas-fired stove will yield 25% of biochar. That's it. So, but 5% to 25%, some range is already there. So, that much biochar is going into the soil somewhere already. So, that way if you take the stoves is only a small aspect, I am telling. So, it takes so many years for a farmer to see the very good results. Otherwise, traditionally you see any backyard this thing, garden, they are the best because the biochar from the cook stove immediately reaches the backyard gardens. Many villages you could see directly. So that's already happening. So because it is a small place, backyard is a small place, and the concentration of biochar is more. So we are already getting good results. So that's happening already in small scale. Yeah.
Is it important for farmers to have land tenure if they're using biochar?
Land?
Land tenure, like they will always own the land. They're not just renting it, for example.
No, biochar as a result for 1,000 years minimum. So land tenure is a small thing in a farmer's life. So why they should go for that? Of course, farmers should not think about long or short, but they should think about their single crop. That's it. But usually, if you have 10 years, let us say the owner after 5 years he will throw away that farmer and take the land. So definitely this person is not interested to improve through biochar. Why he should improve through biochar? So this kind of other interests will merge, which is not healthy. But definitely this tenure is not a question that we should not be looking at. Yeah.
Would you say there's stuff that kind of the biochar researchers in the scientific field could do to help implementation in general?
Yeah, the scientists are very slow because they are more looking at papers rather than converting the science for a common man's language, because the scientific papers getting converted into a textbook and somebody reading and somebody making a course out of that and understanding. See, all these are lengthy methods. One thing is there are 2-3 approaches. Let the science do its own research, but we should with common sense of the result, they should bring up at least on a pilot basis this biochar to the farmers. So there I think definitely you take any scientific paper and you translate into a common language and give it to a farmer. He has very less meaning from that. So they are more in confusion rather than understanding. So we need to convert into understandable kind of media, then we have to give. So there I think the scientists should play a role immediately. Otherwise the lag of research and then application is too much. That will kill a generation of farmers, because food security and small farmers and many other important issues are there already in the world, which we should be addressing immediately rather than waiting. Yeah.
So I guess in general, would you say there are kind of some criteria for a place, such as the kind of soil, or whether the soil's degraded or not, or weather conditions, or the kind of communities? Those are just some examples. But would you say there are sort of criteria you would recommend that would make a place a good candidate for introducing biochar?
Exactly. For that reason only I am telling a neutral international body should emerge. We should be working on these criteria and standardize those steps. That will help many people. As a thumb rule, they will do some kind of simple tests and they do what they want to do. Otherwise, if you apply too much biochar also is negative. If you apply too less also is not optimal. Then how much he should apply? He can't wait for research papers. No research paper gives him the direct answer. And people go more specialized in research papers, which doesn't integrate the holistic science. Yeah. Like that we have many other issues, no?
And is there anything else you would like to say about biochar? Just any information, any important points, or anything you want?
Almost all I said everything, I think. But
Yeah.
just to conclude, definitely in my life, biochar had been an inspiring thing, and it has made me to understand what is life also, from the micro to macro, and the meaning of many aspects. So definitely the biochar research of mine helped me to grow as a human being, and meeting so many farmers, traveling to different distances, and understanding biodiversity. And definitely I want to see biochar as a environment friendly product rather than a commercial product which exploits the resources and makes business to some companies, but it also brings a bad name. This is what I don't want to happen. It should be purely understood as a cultural aspect. That's why I call it as biochar culture. And then we should integrate into the local environmental systems on a sustainable development and adaptation. So this much I can say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for all of your knowledge and everything, and for speaking to me. It's been really, really useful and very enlightening to me. So, thank you very much, and good luck with all of your work. It sounds amazing. So
thank you to you, Lara, because your interview brought some clarities within my mind also. Because when people speak, some things come out. Actually, they are somewhere dormant, but those things have also come out now, which I feel very happy.